The alien warriors were laughing at him, right up until one swing of his tiny blade wiped the smiles clean off their faces. The first thing Commander Rian noticed were the smiles, rows of razor glittering teeth stretching across the alien warriors' faces as they stepped from their drop pods. Those drop pods hit the ground like meteor strikes, kicking up clouds of dust that rolled across the battlefield. When the haze cleared, the towering Kharzul soldiers emerged in perfect formation, their armored boots sinking into the cracked soil. The smiles never left their faces. It wasn't the friendly kind of smile. It was the kind predators wear when the prey hasn't realized it's already dead. Their expressions dripped with arrogance, with the absolute certainty that this tiny human standing alone posed no threat whatsoever. Commander Rian tightened the grip on the short, plain-looking blade at his side. To anyone unfamiliar, it seemed like nothing like a ceremonial dagger or a relic kept for sentimental reasons. Its metal didn't glow. It didn't hum. In fact, under the harsh alien sunlight, it looked dull, almost cheap, the moment the aliens spotted it. A ripple of laughter echoed across their ranks. Their armor was obsidian black, crafted from a material known to resist starship-grade laser fire. The plates overlapped in thick, jagged layers like volcanic rock turned into armor. Their bodies beneath the armor were enormous, each one towering 2 heads over Rian's 6-foot frame. Muscles bulged beneath the plating, powerful enough that even unarmored, a Kharzul could rip a tank hatch off with its bare claws. And yet, they smiled. They always smiled at humans. Humanity was a joke to the Kharzul Empire. A minor race. A soft, squishy species still fighting with bullets and steel, while the rest of the galaxy wielded plasma and antimatter. To them, humans were weak, fragile, and hilariously underprepared for galactic war. Their intelligence reports insisted humans used primitive weapons, toys, unworthy of real battle. But Rian wasn't here to debate their beliefs. He wasn't here to prove a point. He wasn't even here to win. He was here to stall. Behind him, evacuation transports rumbled as civilians rushed aboard. Engineers, medics, children, everyone depending on him to hold the line for just a few more minutes. The alien commander stepped forward, tapping his plasma axe against the ground. Sparks shot out like angry fireflies. He pointed at Rian's small blade and performed a deep, mocking bow. Human. The creature snarled through its grin. You may strike first. It will amuse us. Rian exhaled slowly. Good, he thought, because you won't be smiling for long. The blade looked simple to simple. It had no glowing edges, no alien inscriptions, no vibrating core or visible power source. It was just a short, plain piece of metal strapped to Rian's hip. Any soldier from any corner of the galaxy would have dismissed it as worthless. And that was exactly why it worked so well. No one, not even humanity's closest allies, would guess that this unimpressive little thing was humanity's most dangerous and tightly guarded weapon, the Aether Edge. Its origin wasn't the result of brilliant engineering or decades of research. Humanity stumbled upon it by accident. A freak discovery during an experiment that was supposed to measure quantum field distortion. Instead, they discovered a way to split the fabric of matter at a molecular level. Not burning, not slicing, not crushing. Cutting between matter itself. It didn't matter what it touched. Metal. The blade passed through it like mist. Energy shields. They flickered uselessly. Armor. Even the toughest alien alloys separated as if they were nothing more than sheets of paper. But the blade didn't do this on its own. It needed a wielder, someone whose mind could handle the strange feedback that came with bending the edges of physical reality. Out of millions tested, only a handful survived the training. Rian wasn't just one of them. He was the best. Behind him, the evacuation zone was chaos. Civilians sprinted up boarding ramps. Parents held screaming children. Engineers shouted orders. The ground shook as distant artillery fire crept closer. The transport's engines roared as they prepared to lift off, but they needed more time only Rian could buy. He stared at the Kharzul warriors advancing toward him. Their wicked grins widened, their jagged teeth catching the red glow of their plasma weapons. They saw a lone human with a knife. To them, this was a game. Good. Let them laugh. Rian whispered to the blade, barely brushing a thumb across its surface. There was no activation sound, no flash of power. Instead, reality around him seemed to thicken, as if the air had suddenly become heavier. Even the dust particles falling through the sunlight slowed slightly, dragged by an invisible tension. It was the only sign the blade was awake. The Kharzul leader lifted his axe and sneered. "Strike then, little human." "Let us be," he never finished. Rion moved fast, precise, silent. One swing, reality itself parted. The battlefield held its breath, and death arrived before the aliens even realized he'd struck. The aliens didn't even understand what happened. One moment, they were leaning forward, still mocking him, their jagged teeth flashing with every breath. Some even elbowed each other, ready to witness what they thought would be a pathetic, meaningless attack. To them, Rion's swing moved too slowly to matter, barely more than a casual motion of the arm. The next moment, everything changed. Their armor split open silently, as if an invisible force had drawn a line straight through each of them. There was no clang of metal breaking, no sizzle of heated plasma, just a strange, unnatural quiet. Their grins froze mid. Confusion flooded their wide reptilian eyes as they looked down and saw nothing, no wound, no scorch marks, just a perfectly smooth separation widening across their chests. Then the entire front row of warriors collapsed in perfect, untouched halves. For an instant, the scene looked almost peaceful. Their bodies didn't tumble or twist, they simply slid apart, as though gravity itself was surprised. It took nearly a full second before reality caught up. Then the halves thudded to the dirt with a wet, heavy crack that echoed across the landing zone. The laughter died instantly. Dozens of Kharzul soldiers stared in disbelief, some stumbling backward, others raising their weapons without understanding why their hands shook. Every instinct drilled into them: bravery, dominance, unshakable pride crumbled in a single heartbeat. This wasn't possible. Nothing, not even the densest metals forged in the Empire's core worlds, should have been cut like that. Their armor was supposed to be unbreakable. It was a symbol of their superiority. The idea that a human, a species they viewed as barely worth conquering, could slice through it so effortlessly was beyond their comprehension. "You," one warrior whispered, voice cracking under the weight of fear. "What are you?" Rian didn't answer. He didn't gloat. He didn't even raise the blade again. He simply exhaled, letting the tension slide from his shoulders as he returned to a calm, balanced stance. The blade hung loosely by his side, almost casual in his grip. He wasn't posturing, he wasn't celebrating, he was just ready for the next wave, and that terrified them. More than the strike itself, the Kharzul froze, realization creeping through their ranks like icy water. He didn't even swing at full strength. He didn't need to. Every alien smile vanished. The fearless warriors, bred for conquest, bred to mock weakness, suddenly understood filial fear for the very first time. More drop pods slammed into the ground around Rian, forming a tight circle like a metallic cage crashing down from the sky. Each impact sent shockwaves through the dirt, blasting dust outward in violent bursts. The air vibrated with the thunder of alien machinery as new pods split open, their armored doors peeling back like monstrous petals. Dozens more Kharzul soldiers emerged, their weapons raised, their snarling grins already forming. They expected to join an easy massacre, simple cleanup operation, a single human holding a landing zone. Barely worth their time. Instead, they stepped out into a field of corpses, and at the center stood only one human. Calm as stone, steady as a mountain in a raging storm. Rian didn't raise his blade. He didn't take a stance. He simply watched them approach, shoulders loose, breathing slow. That quiet confidence unnerved the newcomers. They had expected screams, chaos, or desperate last stand, bravado, not silence, not stillness. The fresh warriors hesitated, exchanging quick, uneasy glances. The sight of their fallen comrades split cleanly in half was an image they had no training to process, but their commander snarled and barked furious orders, forcing them forward. "His weapon is a trick. One shouted, almost pleading. A hologram, yelled another, clinging to denial. No human can Rion. Moved. No warning. No tension. No dramatic shift in stance, just motion clean fluid, and impossibly fast. This time, no one even saw the blade. Not a glimmer. Not a blur. Not a hint of its path. Only the aftermath revealed that anything had happened at all. A dozen warriors collapsed at once. Armor cleaved open like soft fruit skins under a knife. They fell in eerie unison, their bodies separating with the same impossible precision that had stunned the first group. Shockwaves of confusion rippled through the Kharzul ranks. Their comms erupted in panicked static. Impossible. Retreat. No, surround him. He is only one human. But that was the part they couldn't comprehend. It wasn't his size, strength, or species that scared them. It was the discipline, the calm, the precision. Rion didn't fight with rage or desperation. He fought with purpose. Every step was a measured shift of weight. Every slash was minimal, just enough, never more. The Aether Edge whispered through the air like a quiet storm, cutting reality itself with each swing. He wasn't superhuman. He didn't need to be. He was simply trained to use humanity's most underestimated weapon the alien empires didn't even believe was real. Behind him, the final evacuation ship rumbled louder, its massive engines roaring to life. Dust lifted around its thrusters, signaling that liftoff was seconds away. Rion finally allowed himself a small smile. Calm, tired, and relieved. He had bought enough time. The civilians would live, and the would never forget what one human with a small blade had done. The Kharzul were broken. The once warriors, fierce conquerors feared across half the galaxy, were now stumbling backward in shock, dragging their wounded comrades through the dust. The battlefield that had echoed with their arrogant laughter minutes earlier was silent except for the crackle of fires and the distant roar of departing transports. Every surviving alien stared at Rion with the same expression. Not hatred, not anger, but fear. They looked at him like he was something unnatural, something ancient and terrifying that should not exist. Rion moved forward, boots crunching over shattered armor plates and fallen weapons. Smoke curled around him as he pointed the small, unassuming blade at the alien commander. The Kharzul leader, towering and armored in obsidian plating, actually staggered back a step. "You came here smiling," Rion said calmly, his voice steady despite the destruction around him. "You won't make that mistake again." The alien commander's mandibles trembled. Moments ago, he had mocked Rion. Now he couldn't even breathe properly. His soldiers, elite shock troopers bred for war, sliced apart with surgical precision. And the human who had done it still wasn't even out of breath. The commander swallowed hard, staring at the blade as if it were a cursed artifact. "We underestimated you," he whispered, unable to look away. Rion shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "You underestimated all of us." Above them, the evacuation ships roared upward, engines blazing blue trails against the sky. Thousands of civilians, families, medics, engineers were now safely on their way to orbit. Rion allowed himself a brief glance upward, relief washing through him. He had done his job, but he knew this fight meant more than one evacuation, more than one victory. This battlefield would become a message, one the Kharzul Empire would be forced to remember. Humanity would not bow. Humanity would not break. And humanity's strength did not always come from massive fleets or planet-shaking weapons. Sometimes it came from a single soldier, a small blade, and an unshakable will to stand when everyone else had to run. Rion lifted the Aether Edge once more. The air around it rippled subtly, an invisible vibration radiating across the battlefield like the beat of a dark heart. "Tell your empire," he said, eyes locked on the trembling commander, "that humans smile last." The remaining Kharzul didn't wait for another swing. They fled, no pride, no roars, no mocking grins, not a single smile among them.